Hello. Hello. Let's see if this is working. Right, how are you all doing today? How is everyone? Running a little bit early, I do realise. But, yeah. It's been one of those days and I felt like running early. And I've got other weird things to do later today. Lots of weird things to do. The first thing I should probably talk about before I get started into anything is what I'm doing in terms of ship shape, which is something you might have heard about. If you haven't heard about, that's on me. But if you look up Drakenfell, Dr. Alex Clark, Garius, and Dr. Dan, and you type ship shape, SHIP dash shape, so it's a sort of hyphen, the little line, shape.org.uk, you will find an entire thing, an entire website which we set up to fund a trip for us to Australia. And it's not just a sort of a jolly trip, it's a trip in terms of let's go see what we can do if we go to, I don't know, if we go to all the naval history we can in Australia. You know, like we did with Canada last year, we are going there and we are basically going to do as many naval history recordings as we can to give you all the videos and all the information we can on Australia. And organising the entire thing has been one never-ending... I honestly can't really describe it as anything more never-ending going, oh, they have one of those. Oh, they have that. Oh, they do. It's just been constant weirdness in terms of those things. Alright, let's go to custom battle. And as no one's just putting in their own suggestions in yet, I am going to design my own little ship. Hello, Arch Magnets. Hello. What's in Jenna? Basically, as I was doing last week, it's going to be a fun design ships and let's see what they look like. So with the chat basically telling me what they'd like to see designed, other than this one, which is going to be my own personal design, I'm going to use that as the basis of what can we do? What can we design for you all? Ooh. Let's see. So, how is everyone doing? What could a 9.5 inch or 10 inch gun US Treaty cruiser look like? Ooh, well, I'll do that after I design this. I will do that very much after I design this. That was nice and loud, wasn't it? That was loud. Icy Deadman, subscribe to tier 1. They've subscribed 2 months. Thank you, Icy Deadman. No worries. It mildly scared me for a second, but then, you know, it was a case of, that's good. That barbette doesn't work for that. Medium superimposed barbette doesn't fit. That fits. So, how does that look? Engine efficiency. I'm going to go for 24 knots. That's all a lot for. That's all quite forward, isn't it? So that's quite a forward center of balance. It's going to be interesting. Secondary sour. In position there. And let's put the same barbette back here. And main guns. Centerline guns. You can see what I'm doing. I'm basically designing the 13.5-inch equivalent of HMS Dreadnought. Because I was talking the other day about Dreadnought and going, well, you know, normally the Royal Navy was pretty much everything was 13.5-inch guns. Everything was 13.5-inch. And you sit there and go, well, hang on, why was... There are then reasons for why Dreadnought is the way she is. But... let's put in the 13.5-inch guns, which really do make life fun. See what we can mount on the center line. Side guns, 13.5-inch. That's not really going to help matters, is it? Let's go for secondaries. Aha. Oh. So this is a 13.5-inch with 6-inch secondaries. Yes, Dreadnought, if he'd known about super firing guns, there is no doubt that she would have had them. Yeah, we've got everything. Some guns have poor sectors of fire. Which guns have poor sectors of fire? That's got decent sector of fire. That's decent. Decent. I don't see a gun with a poor sector of fire anywhere. There's not a single gun I can see which has a port sector of fire. Torpedo launchers. We have got to have some torpedoes. And we should always have, because forward offset 10.4%. Forward offset 8.4%. So we've got to 24. I wonder if we can go a little bit. 20. Can we go to 25 knots? No, we'll leave it at 24. And we'll start mucking around with the various ammunition. We want increased ammunition. We want enhanced reloading. We want electro-hydraulic turrets. We want standard shells. We want the increased ammo. We want the biggest torpedoes we can get. We'll leave them like that. Shells, we want to be the best we can get. Definitely. Gunite. That's cute to have. Anything we want to fix on here? I think the aft belt has to go up a bit to 5.3. Aft deck 2.4, definitely. Conning tower we're going to put up a little bit, but let's go with aft belt going up a bit more to get it down to sort of the average. So that's down to 2.7%. We'll take that down to 5 inches and that up to 7 inches. And aft deck up to 2.5. Yeah. That's sort of given us a 4-weight offset of 1%. We can take that. Hello, Sean Mac, 2-month anniversary. Thank you. Would Fisher have tried triple tilt super firing guns? Honestly, well, if we consider this ship, this is an 8-gun vessel with 13.5-inch guns. And honestly, my view is Fisher would have gone with at least 10 guns. If I actually exit this constructor and push it to about 1908 and design the ship and take the Dreadnought main guns, yeah, I can probably do what I was planning on doing here, because I can push that up to that. I can push the beam up to the widest. I can push the speed up to 25 knots. It's amazing what a difference a couple of years can make. Standard for them, veterans. Semi-oil. Turbines. Auxiliaries. Shaft 1. Top range armor. All those things. That's what we see what we make. Because this is what... to some extent, me looking at 13.5-inch gun and going, right then, so let's say the Royal Navy goes 13.5-inch gun from the get-go. Can they do this? And I think they could have done. I think they could have. Ooh, you could put them back there. Could put the waist guns back there, or I could just put a single centerline one, which is what I'm going to do, because I'm going to do medium again. And I'm going to take the centerline guns. I've got 4 of those, because apparently that's all it's allowing me. It's allowing me side guns. Why it's limiting me to this many side guns at this arrangement, I do not know. Yeah, I don't like that. We'll see what we can do. That shape is really starting to annoy me. That's roughly fine as far as I'm concerned. That's good as far as I'm concerned. Yeah, I don't like those. I honestly just don't like those. So, it looks like I'm going for my secondary 6-inch guns again. I do like my 6-inch guns. They are in a rough alignment. Yep, that works. Can I shrink the beam down then? If I shrink the beam down, I need to get rid of those and go to a main tower which is slightly narrower. I need to go to a secondary tower which is narrower. That's quite nice, actually. It needs to be a bit fatter, I think. Just a tad. Tad fatter. Let's go for the centerline guns again. Twin barrels. Oh, it's going to make my life fun. "13.5-inch guns. 45 cal. These will be good. Enhanced reloading, electro-hydraulic, increased shells. Best bar bet I can get. Dunite bursting charge. Plus 10 range. I want some torpedoes. We do want torpedoes. Now, let's see what we've got. I will leave the range as is at the moment. But let's see if we can't get the aft belt up a little. Now that's taken the full belt. But honestly, let's see if we can't add on a little bit more. See what we can get the aft belt up to. At a certain point, the aft belt becomes the same strength as the main belt. I'm not too disappointed if it does. What can we do? Ship is overweight. Well, at this point, we don't need. We can be natural. Oh, now we've saved ourselves a couple of 100 tons. Okay. Very close to the point. Very close. Very, very close. Pitch 27%. Roll's fine, so the roll is the side to side. Pitch is the up and down forward motion, and it's at 32.5%. And I'd rather it's not that, but I've got the full weight fine. I want it to be in the blue. What can we do to fix the pitch? "12-inch belt, full weight offset is now at the point at which we're not going to bother about it. I don't know. What can we do about this? What can we do? The 13.5-inch guns have massive armour, which they wouldn't have. Let's be honest, the Orion class didn't have that thicker armour on their turrets. And that just wouldn't be the case. The turrets on the Orion class were 11 inches thick. So, no, I don't think they're that. Barbettes were 10 inches thick. Side turrets will do 6 and 4 again. With a 5-inch barbette. And, yeah, it just... pitch is just massive for some reason. And are you using the mod which introduces weather? No, I'm not using the mod which introduces weather. Because I'm just trying to test out the design of the ship. Because my theory is that HMS Dreadnought, which would look like this, with 13.5-inch guns, would have been pretty darn nasty to fight. I think she would have been. That's taken the pitch down a bit. And that can still fire all the way around, as can that. And that we now got the pitch down a bit. That one down. Can we take the beam in a bit? That's okay. So now at 125% engine efficiency. Half weight 1.6%. And we've got 500 tons second over. So can we put back my secondary 6-inch guns here? Yes, we can. Because I like those 6-inch guns being there. I really do. I think, you know, that just gives me beautiful lines of a ship. Absolutely beautiful. And I like having 6-inch guns. Now, casemate guns to deal with anyone trying to attack us. We've got the 3 inches in position. Right then, let's go to secondaries. Let's go down to the good old 2-inch guns. I think the 2-inch guns would have been mounted like this. Ooh! Get one up there, that'll be fun. One up there, always fun to have one up there. Yeah, I think that sort of works for the 2-inch guns. We've got a couple of them going around. But it was the 3-inch which were the AA guns, wasn't it? So the 3-inch were the anti-aircraft guns. We should probably include a 3-inch anti-aircraft gun at some point. Yeah, I think they're fine. Well, you can say there's a 3-inch anti-aircraft. There's a 2-inch 26 gun. We will go to all of them, and we will go right then. So if you are a 6-inch gun, we want to upgrade your length to as maximum. Same with the gun caliber of the 2-inch guns. And the gun caliber of the 3-inch guns. Ship is now overweight by 30 tons. 4 weight offset 0.3%. So let's sort that out. We've got increased ammo, we've got all that stuff. 4 weight. Half weight offset. Yeah, they're all at the maximum. Conning tower, that will allow me to take down quite a lot of weight, won't it? There we go. Some guns have poor sectors of fire. Which guns have poor sectors of fire? It's not telling me, so that's fine. Let's go and see what we'd have done. What would have been the German response to such a vessel? Is this German? Is this a German ship? Or am I? This is a. Hang on. What nation am I building? I've forgotten this. The Charles Martel, which sounds French, could be Spanish. In 1906, I'm not sure. I think they were building more likely something like. Hang on. It is France. Okay, it's France. Right then. Alright, so now I know I'm building the French. I should probably build something along those lines of that. But I will be generous and kind, and I will build something along the lines of this. We will imagine that the French actually could build... Okay, theoretically they have 13-inch guns, but their guns are going to be... Well, you can already tell from the turret it's going to be fun, can't you? That looks... I know it looks less French, but it looks better on my eyes. Honestly, this doesn't look that French. That's definitely not French. Oh, sheesh. Secondary tower. Again, that's not looking French. Definitely not looking French that way round. Again, isn't it supposed to map constantly a right way round? Oh well. Because it should be more the other way around. Not this way around. I'm not sure what it's doing. I'm not sure why it's going that way. That's definitely not the right way around. Maybe if I sit it there, it looks sort of right. Vive la France. Secondaries. This is French. I'll be nice, I'll give them a 6-inch gun as well as a secondary, but, you know. Oh, where can I put this giant frigating turret? Casemate guns. 3-inch. Again. This looks French, definitely, but, you know, it's French. It's mainly looks French because it's nuts. Yes, we'll leave it cold. Oh, good. Maybe they get forced. There's always a possibility. They did get turbines, so we'll do that. That should be fine. The French, again, they had fun with their metallurgy. That would be nice, will be sort of nice. Be as nice as we can be. This is gonna be interesting. Everything is sort of what the French would be doing anyway. Oh god, lord me, they went for electrical turrets. Yeah, we'll give them cordite again. We'll give them standard shells because they never packed enough shells into their ships ever. Take that down. It's fat. Take its weight up. It's still overweight even when I expand its weight up. Okay, I'm not quite sure how. If I expand the draft, then it's fine. But I can possibly get some torpedoes on now. But I can't get many. Possibly increase that. Can I get 18 inch? This ship is gonna be in terrible pain. That doesn't help things. How can I make... I'm sorry, I'm feeling upset for this engine myself. This is the theoretical French response, which the French would come, which probably end of service about the same time the next generation British battleship would end of service. But we'll see what happens. It's full weight offset. What can I do? I've got 1,000 tons I can play with, so yeah, aft belt. It's up the aft belt. The thing is, you always have to remember, aft belt is probably a good place to upgrade up the likelihood of protection. Why was the armor so thick on those turrets? Why? I'm giving them 12-inch belts. And aft deck. Yeah, we'll launch this and just see what happens. Still nasty to fight in 1914. It would have been. Avoid enemy torpedoes. Let's go see. The thing about speeding this up to 30 times, you get to see how much the pitch really affects things. And that's going to be fun for aiming. That's going to really make targeting fun. That's an interesting gun layout. Oh, good lord, that was a first salvo hit. That was a first salvo hit. It's been a long week. So, I've been asked what an American treaty cruiser might look like in a world where they can have 9.5-inch, 10-inch guns. See, the thing is, I think the Americans probably would have built a 10-inch cruiser in a world where 10-inch cruisers were allowed. I see that happening in a world where 14-inch guns are set as the minimum for capital ships. So to be a capital ship, you have to have 14-inch guns or higher. So that's probably in a world where you've got 16.5-inch guns. Could be theoretically 18-inch. Because they do originally give you between 12 and 16 inch. So it could be 18-inch up to 18-inch guns. Which would be interesting, because it could be now. Oh, Lord. Yes, please note, at this point you do not fire guns. At this point you limp away gracefully in real life. When they're having to fire diving shells to have a chance of hitting you, oh, good lord, it's in 3-inch gun range. And 6-inch gun range. If you're in 3-inch gun range of a capital ship, your life expectancy has gone down quite a long way. Hello. She's cute though. She is cute. So, the question was an American 10-inch cruiser. So let's go to United States. Let's have them fight Japan. Let's see what comes up with Japan. We'll put it into the 1928 roughly. We'll start off at this same distance. Heavy cruiser versus heavy cruiser, because they're going to be 10-inch cruisers. So, right then. Let's see if this lets us go the way around. And I think it was, who was it? Hello, it wasn't Sean Mack. Hello, Sean Mack. I can tell us 2 months ago. I think it was Arch Magnets. Right then, you said, and I'm just going to quote you. If I could put in a request, what would a 9.5-inch or 10-inch gun US treaty cruiser look like? Well, okay, let's start off with, what kind of world is a ship going to be 10-inch guns? In sort of what sort of standard are you going to have 10-inch guns? If you have 10-inch guns as your upper limit for your cruisers, you're probably going to be dealing with an upper limit of 15,000 tons for the vessels themselves. Now, this is going to have knock-on impacts because you're probably going to see a upper limit for capital ships because they're going to want to have the same distance. When they chose 8-inch guns, partially because it allowed a Hawkins to be built, but also because it would keep necessary at least 4 inches of clear distance between what a capital ship could have and what a cruiser could have. And the reason they wanted this was they wanted there to be clear water. So you couldn't go, well, you know, I've got a cruiser which is almost as powerful as a battleship to back up my battle line, a la what had happened in the Japanese, with the Japanese fleet at Toshima, etc. They wanted there to be clear water. So you've got to have at least 4 inches clear space. So if you upgraded the guns of the cruisers to 10.1 inch probably as the maximum, you're probably going to have the minimum for capital ships of being a 14 inch. And if you've got the maximum again, it's another 4 inches. Because remember, if you go for it, it's 8 to 6 inches for the cruisers. It's going to be probably still going to go down to 6 inches for cruisers at this point. But you probably will be wanting it to go up to 18 inches. So that means you're in a capital ship world where 18 inches is allowed gunfire. It's the joy of a treaty system. It is the joy of a treaty system. But you know, if you want to open the door, if you need to send a fluffy puppy in here,
In you go.
in you go.
Okay.
Riley, come. Sorry, I've had a fluffy puppy arrive. Oh, I've also had, I keep collecting them. I've really got to do a video of me every time someone writes a note saying, I can no longer watch your videos because of your dogs. Because every time I see it, I go, I'm so sad. No, I'm carrying on. Anyway, so in this world, you would probably have... Ooh, well, I will take a limit of that. I will take a sort of displacement limit of that, because that will make sense. They'll want a top speed of about 32 knots. Let's see. They're gonna want standard. They're US Navy. They're gonna want oil farms. It's gonna be geared turbines up the. It's gonna be. It's gonna be probably balanced. Top radar, okay, top that. Good. Well, I would love them to have better torpedo stuff. Let's start off on a maximum of the anti-torpedo stuff and work our way down from there. So, let's go to a main tower. Let's see how American looking this is. Honestly, that looks more German than American, but you know what? We'll go with it, because we can. But back me up on this. That looks more like a Deutschland class than it does an American cruiser. Seriously, who's been designing some of these things? And I suppose... That's your... Well, again, the Americans don't have their... They have their hangar launching space aft. So why do you have a design which has to have a space lance for aircraft to get in and out of it in this ship? Why? Which Bright Spark added that for no... Absolutely no reason. And why would you add a funnel which can't fit onto a funnel component? Why? Seriously, that's the largest of the after bits, and surely the funnel should fit. But it's not. If I widen the beam, does it fit? No. Oh. Well, let's be honest, they actually should be kind of narrow. Let's make it just wide enough to fit those components without them being red. And draft. We want it as shallow draft as possible so it can go into the various parts of the Caribbean as well as the joyous things that they are elsewhere looking at. And let's go for 10-inch guns. I know the US Navy don't fit sonar to their cruisers, and I understand their reasoning for not fitting sonar to their cruisers. However, I wish they'd had taken the other Royal Navy's book and fitted sonar to their cruisers, because I think they could have had a much better time if they had. Right. Let's start fitting some secondaries. We want the Epinonus 5-inch. And should I fit 5-inch triples or 5-inch doubles? Twins is historically more accurate. And we of course want 40mm every freaking where. Because, you know, in nicest way, that's the US Navy motto. If in doubt, fit a 40mm to it. I apparently can't take the side down on it, but I can take the diameter. 40mm is roughly 1.5 inches in it. They should be 37s. Yep. I can understand, but it's not really historically accurate. The thing is, that's where the funnel is supposed to go, in that sort of space. I suppose if I wanted to, I could do boom. Done. But that's not really... I suppose, to an extent, that's accurate. I prefer the big central funnel, but, you know, it is accurate. Torpedoes. Right then, I'm going to add in. I know US cruisers do not carry torpedoes. I do know they didn't. Doesn't mean I don't think they should have done. Although personally, I'd have had deck-mounted ones rather than these ones. But you know, I'm going with a 10-inch brief, and I'm fitting in underneath the weight limit. And I want increased. Oh, I want 22-inch bad boy torpedoes. Oh, I want them. I prefer them to be really, really long range. But no, we'll leave them as standard. Semi-auto guns. Can I push up the weight at the speed at all? Well, that's good. That's the speed is nice. Aft weight offset. How is the aft weight so fricking heavy compared to the fore? How has the aft got so frigging heavy? We're taking these down to a more sensible... But, in other news, we are upping up the fore weight to have a decent belt. Again, for a cruiser. And the foredeck to a decent strength, again for a cruiser. And the offset's only 2.5%. So let's go see what our counterpart's going to be, shall we? Let's see what the auto design produces, and then we'll commentate on the auto design response. This is what this thinks. The UAD thinks in a 10-inch cruiser world that Japanese would build a counter. Oh my goodness me. Do they not like the Japanese Navy? Is that it? The Japanese cheated more than anyone else when it came to their heavy cruisers, and you have them more limited by weight in 1928 than the... Okay. Alright. Let's delete everything. Let's delete everything. Let's start off with, you're going to want to go fast because you're Japanese and you like to go fast. Speed is sexy. Honey, you worry less about draft than anyone else because you're just operating in the Pacific. And why are you going to worry about beam either? You can have it. Wow, you can be a fat boy and be happy. You want range. You do want range, and you are veterans because, and that's where you are. You are not going to have that one. Oil is going to be fine. Force boilers, geared turbines. I will take those. Advanced as anything, please. Thank you. We're Japanese. Our engines are decent. Krupp 5, because you actually have the relationship going on with the Germans. Yeah, that'll do. You're probably going to go for tailback also because you're Japanese and you'd like your things to be as unsinkable as possible. Why are you on 19-inch torpedoes? You be bigger than that. And yeah, increased. Alright, let's take the modern tower. And a secondary tower. Now, of course, this is in a world where they are not turning their things into aircraft carriers, basically, by a back door. So if they're using them still as reconnaissance assets, then all bets are off. But, you know... if they're not doing that, then they've got some decent ships on their side. And centerline guns. In this world, they'd also have 10-inch guns, let's be honest. They are the Japanese. They are going to have 10-inch. And probably... that. Probably that. So... this is the most space efficient way to put this. Now, if we consider Japanese heavy cruisers, were armed with 50. Let's see, they were 8-inch 50s, and USN heavy cruisers, just verifying which they had at the same point. Peace cruisers, battle cruisers. Light cruisers. No, they are light cruisers. Light cruiser, light cruiser, light cruiser. 55 cal. So, these I'm wanting to be 50 cal. And they are currently 10-inch 33s. Now they're 10-inch 39s. It's not much better, but they'll do. They're now officially overweight. That's actually quite historically accurate. But let's see again. Oh, I do love the fact you keep me to treaty standards, despite the fact that the Japanese didn't. Draft as maximum. Double the hull. Let's start taking all the protections down, so it's down to minimal protections. Yeah, all that's done, and let's see, I've now got 21,000. I've still got about 4,000 tons to lose. You see, in a nice way, this is what the Japanese would build. Under the terms and conditions of the joyous thing that is UAD, this is what we'll build. Da-da-da-dee. Off deck. Main belt down to about 5 inches. Hang on. Yeah. Take the main belt down as low as we can. The conning tower down as low as we can. we will delete the inner deck armor and the inner belt entirely. We'll take them down to about 10 inches if we're... Hang on, let's be honest. Yeah, the 8-inch turrets on Japanese battleships had an inch of armor. So let's see how low we can take these down, whether they'll allow us to get to an inch in real life. We're at an inch of armor. Barbettes. The main armor belt was 5 inches. Most of it was 1.5. Actually less than 1.5, but we'll leave that at 1.5. Deck armor. And I'm actually taking these, by the way, if anyone wants to know what I'm using as reference. I'm using the Maya, which of course was a Takao class heavy cruiser, as my reference for this. Seemed about appropriate because she's laid down in December 1928. And can anybody... Let's see. We've got some inner protection, but yeah, no, we're getting rid of that as well. And we're getting rid of the super destruction protection. And you know, we're down to weight. So, basically, this thing is designed to be as fast as possible, but it has standard reloading. Oh, this is going to be fun. We're out of torpedoes. Oh, it's got them there, there, and there. Make fun. It's now got a full spread of torpedoes. No, I'm not doing that. I'm not. No. 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 Halfway still heavier, but, you know, broadly speaking, we can deal with that. And there's no secondaries on this thing. Oh, this keeps me far more to standards than the actual treaties. And these are supposed to be, should be really 50s, and I got them up as 57s. Hang on, no. These should be 55s. Do I want to take down the 55s? I will do, because I'll play it honest. I seem to not be looters changing these guns. So I'm going to leave them be. Because I might as well. Let's launch and see what happens. We are playing 1.2.9. No weather. Because that's what mine's on auto update now. So if it isn't the most up-to-date version on UAD, then I apologize. It is supposed to. It's on Steam. It's supposed to auto update. So we've got 9 versus 12 guns. And look at this vessel, designed to get through Panama at high speed. Alex, try a different hull. I probably will try a different hull. Yeah, this does... Now, when it's all complete, it looks American, but it looks more an American battleship than American cruiser, let's be honest. Ship request. The second rate destroyed the line. I will have a look at Discord War Games. Thank you, I spotted you. Thank you, highlighted message. So, let's see. Whoa! You think you're fighting a destroyer? I think you're fighting a glass cannon. The thing is, it's going so fast. And you know, historically they did have oxygen torpedoes by this point. This is a really shallow draft vessel. I think it spends quite a lot of its time pretending to be a submarine. But in good news, if it wants extra range of extra angle of fire, all it has to do is turn sharply. I think the Japanese might win this one, even though it is a glass cannon. Yeah, the sheer volume of fire from the Japanese is what's getting them. Oh, definitely getting its range or something. Right, so far I've been good today. I haven't had a fizzy drink of any kind. Oh, but that's gonna be good. Mainly that's going to change because I have managed to do quite a lot of work today, and I've got a lot more to do. Oh, and please note, we are going to keep pushing and pushing with the joyous thing that is ship because we want to do it. We want to do the trip to Australia, we want to do the naval history that will come from it, we want to see the museums. I did. It's fun when you go sort of you do the original budgeting for something, and you work through things, and of course you factor in money for stuff to go up in price, and then someone else goes through and buys it, and they go, This is working out cheaper than you were aiming for. You're going, yes, it should do. Because I budgeted based on things going up in price, and they've actually gone down in price. Thanks to the conversion rate, despite the joys of inflation. And that's the joys thing. Yeah, I think Bridgewater's gone. 10-inch cruisers. Not as good as they might seem. Well, in this case, the Japanese one was as good as it might seem, and was originally planned to be more guns. So the one I was worried about that matchup was the Japanese. Second-rate destroyer of the line. See Discord for reference. Okay, let me find Discord for starters. I'm going to need to open up my Discord. It's always fun when I do that, when I open up Discord. Let's see. And now the sound's gone weird. And let's go to War Games. Oh, good lord. Rate My Dakar is coming up a lot. Second-rate destroy the line. I'm taking it as many... Oh, my lord. Yeah. Okay. Alright. So basically, build a destroyer and festoon it with as many guns as you possibly can to the point at which they can only fire outwards. And it's a ship of the line in firing. Alright. I'm going to... Yeah, I'll build a destroyer. We'll do it America versus Japan again, and we'll do it 1930, we'll build 2. Thanks, I hate it. We all... That's just confusing. Honestly, the entire concept confuses me a little bit, but we'll see what we can do with it. Yeah, we're going to do the exact opposite, but there it's going to destroy us. So no matter how fat it gets, it's still going to fit through the Panama Canal. Fat for a destroyer is not fat. It's just not. Gas turbine, oil fueled, electro-hydraulic sealing, modern armor, double hold, anti-flood standard. So, oh, good lord. This is supposed to be American, not British. Okay, that is... Again, the French was British, the American is British, the bloomin' British one isn't British. I have no words. I have no words. That's a British... That is the British superstructure shape. At no point is there an American with that shape. Oh, good lord, that's even more British. Let's see what we can do. Can we make it a ship of the line as per requested? The game, Garrus, the game developers be trolling. They be trolling max. They be trolling to the absolute max. There is nothing less than maximum trolling going on here. So ship of the line. How am I going to get this to work? The entire thing, I could probably get this to work on a cruiser or an earlier ship, but have I gone too... Oh, Mm-hmm. At least one funnel. Hey. And at least one torpedo launcher. What are we gonna do? The game developers are definitely trolling. I have to agree. The game developers are so trolling. And I will get revenge on them. I will. Because I am that kind of personality. I will find a way to get revenge. Yeah. Some of Paul sectors are far. I'm not surprised they do. Honestly, I'm surprised if this thing's still afloat. There's only one thing I can think of to do in this scenario. And that's basically up the guns as much as I can. And, let's go to see what they do as the auto response. Let's see what their response is. I don't think. Let's go. Let's take a destroy the line to fight whatever the computer comes up with. Okay. 5.1 inch 39s. They have a range of 15 kilometers. They have a range of 16.1 kilometers. These have a range of 15 kilometers. Has a range of 15.2 kilometers. .23 kilometers. what I need to take down. Just modifying things in a bit slightest way because I do actually like the chance of actually somehow winning this fight. And can I bump the speed up a bit? Engine efficiency is going to be terrible. Got gas turbines. 35 knots. Yeah, we're sort of going ahead. Anything I can do to make you work a bit better? That'll do. That'll do. Game developers are definitely trolling me. By the way, if anyone's not following Garius, aka John Bull, on Twitter, it's Garius, isn't it, on Twitter as well? Isn't it? On Monday, he's going to be doing an excellent HMS Eskimo thing, and definitely worthwhile following him for that. Absolutely worthwhile following him for that. If you're not already following him, you should be. Just doing this by precise analysis to try and get the most protection I can on the budget available. I'm feeling it's going to go right down to the 20 tons. Yep. Let's launch. Let's see what happens. And Mastodon. Also, could you do me a favour, Garius? Could you put a link to Shipshape in the chat? Because... Hello, Rozalski. Because Shipshape is a lot of fun, and it's what's basically going to make the next generation of naval history possible, I swear, in terms of how we reach people and how we work on things. Because between me and Drac and Gareth and Garius, you always cannot do things without Garius, and Dr. Dan, we are putting everything together to try and give you all as much naval history as possible. And frankly, Ship shape is what we're doing. This is a very interesting vessel to try and fight. It's got longer range torpedoes on the Japanese gunpowder part. It's got 5-inch guns which can fire the same distance. It's pretty much able to outcircle things. I'll leave the AI. But it needs to actually hit its target to do so. And that is a... Holy guacamole, that thing's designed to be a fine tooth comb, isn't it? Basically, you were designed with one thing in mind. How fast can you go and how wide you have to be for your guns to fit. That's it. Whereas you are... You look British! You look more like a frigating tribal class destroyer than you do an American destroyer. You look more like a C-class than an American destroyer. If you were forced to build a destroyer like they built in the Discord thing, where you have all the guns along the side, panic. The whole thing about destroyers is they do nasty, nasty fights. You know, this one is quite a nice one because it's tame one-on-one. And the trouble is with this game, I've noticed, is that when you do mass destroyers on destroyers, they're almost polite about it. And the reality is destroyer fights as often as not revolve down into ramming each other as they did straight up fighting. But sheer amount of gunpowder can work. I'm glad that's how Mars Monks. Super firing turrets over torpedo launchers is an initial choice over the Alpha Matter. It works, and here's the thing: let's go back to this and let's design it without me having to worry about that. Let's see if I can build something, because that let's see how I would build it if I could. So without having to worry about the multiple 5-inch and all the rest. Let's put you down there. Let's see, what else can I do? Full weight offset. Mm-hmm. So, we've got all that in. We've got those up to those. So they're Mark 5-inch 38 guns. Auto loading, 24-inch octagon, all these things, scenarios in. Yeah. Let's go see how this. Let's exit constructor for a second. And let's do. That's about fair. And about realistic. And now let's take what are our very Anglo-centric American destroyers versus the Japanese counterparts. Jonathan Moon, 20 destroyers all on the conga line, bringing back Age of Sail tactics. Oh yeah, you would get something like that, but AI on. AI on. Avoid. So we've got the Zumwalt. We've got 4 destroyers in this group, 4 destroyers in this group. And as you can see, that's pretty much what would happen. You'd have 2 divisions of destroyers. The flotilla would divide in half. And it would start crossing the fire, and there would be torpedoes being launched at each other. But realistically, at a certain point, you'd have those lovely vessels over there charging these vessels over here and trying to get as close to them as physically possible. Now, I have to leave this in sort of the AI control. But, you know, it's working. Now, I've just had a fjord and some confused Norwegians watching from the coastline. Yeah. And then you have something kind of approaching Narvik. And you also have an understanding when you set it up like this of the scenario for the Japanese, because they kept, as the war went on and they lost ships, they kept going, no, one of our ships is equal to more and more American vessels. And you'd end up with them going, this operation is sustainable because one of our ships is equal to X number of American destroyers. And it really isn't. And now you have a scenario where one vessel is basically sacrificing itself to stop the Americans tracking down the rest of their friends. And again, that's kind of historically accurate as to what happened quite a lot with some of the Japanese forces. Sometimes the Japanese destroyers would sell themselves really, really dearly. And this is one of the factors which led to the Japanese going, oh, one of our ships is worth so many. But there is a fact of when a ship is basically prepared to commit suicide to hold you off from their colleagues, that ship is going to probably take it quite a lot with it. Because quite a lot of the options that you are going to have to do to knock a ship out and make it combat ineffective don't work when a ship is just charging at you. I actually absolutely paddled the task force of 4 Pretrons, 8 armor cruisers, and a handful of destroyers with 3 13.5-inch Dreadnoughts. 4 of them. With 9-inch batteries. 9.2-inch secondary batteries. Everything was sunk with 15 minutes. It will be. That ship's gone. There's almost a certain point at which you're going to be able to tell the game, stop firing at this ship, it's gone. It's no more. It's gone. You know, in real life, if you're doing that, you are not afloat any longer. You're not under any form of control. You're just not. And you can see the damage stats here. You just look at it. There's no compartment which isn't either on fire, severely damaged, or flooded. And frankly, the fact that they've got compartments, these ones which theoretically are not flooded, is quite surprising to me. We've got Mahan, Kincaid, Dorsey and Zumwalt in Division 2. In Division 1, we have Pringle, Stoddard, Walker and Blakely. Sure, but the Japanese also had Admiral Halsey to rely on. Look, Admiral Halsey gets a lot of stick. But he sort of strikes me as often as... Think about the options to replace him that are actually viable options. Of enough seniority, they can actually do the job he's doing. It's one of the things where I would love to have Vian in command of certain formations in World War II, because he's got the right level of strategy and aggressiveness. He'd be far better. There's a few other officers like that. There's Sherbrooke, who commands HMS Eskimo in the... commands HMS Cossack in Narvik. And there's actually the guy who's actually in command of Eskimo in Narvik. They are all excellent officers, and I'd love them to be in command of more bigger forces. But the fact is, they're not senior enough, and therefore, whilst they could do it, I believe, because of their skills and knowledge, they don't actually technically have the experience and knowledge which would be considered necessary by the Admiralty to trust them with it. So whilst he might make mistakes, you have to wonder if a less experienced, less knowledgeable person would make worse mistakes. And that's the trouble with Halsey. You can critique him. You should probably critique him, because you should critique everyone. But he's not necessarily a bad admiral or making bad decisions. He's making the best decision with his mind at the time he can. And the trouble with Halsey is he also is shamelessly aggressive. And you need that to push things forward. But it does lead to some decisions which are questionable. Kincaid is the only option in real life. I think Mahan was an actual... Mahan was a destroyer in World War II, from memory. I don't know. I think Pringle might have been one as well, but I'm not 100% sure where I've gotten that from. Hatsume detected enemy destroyers. Did she avoid the enemy torpedoes? She has the ability to actually aim her guns, which is frank. Look, if you were actually in a ship that was doing this, do you think you'd be managing to aim your guns? Kincaid. Kincaid's rank. No, you meant Kincaid. I meant to replace Kincaid. Honestly, probably if you want to replace Halsey, you have to go to some of the theoretically disgraced admirals who got the blame for they didn't deserve things like for Pearl Harbor. So Richmond and the others who were, you know, banned because of Pearl Harbor and because of them daring to speak back at sort of Roosevelt and go, hang on, this isn't right. We're not in the right position. You need to almost go to them to replace Halsey. Mahan was still in service during World War II. She got kamikaze. Yep. Oh. They've got a few rounds of ammunition remaining. Armor-piercing ammo's a bit low, but they've got lots of high explosive ammo left, and let's be honest, they're Japanese ships, so they probably haven't got any armor. And they are probably built top-heavy as well. Well, they aren't in this game, because in this game it doesn't make them like real Japanese ships. It's like we have American ships walking around with British superstructures. That is a British superstructure. If Mahan had still been alive in World War II, he would have had a field day with Roosevelt. Mainly because he'd have been going on lines of things of, when I worked with your uncle, oh, that was a president who knew how to handle naval diplomacy. Oh, yes, your uncle, he was a man. Whereas Roosevelt would be going, but. Roosevelt was very good at getting funding for the armed forces. He wasn't very good at working out naval diplomacy. And you can tell that from his whole positioning in Hawaii, because whilst, yes, going forward is great, going forward in an unsupported fashion is just a good way to get your ships killed. Hello, there's 3 of you. I thought I only ordered 4 Japanese destroyers. And I seem to remember I think I've sunk about 2. I thought I've sunk 2 Japanese destroyers. Maybe ordered 5. Roosevelt II. Roosevelt II can try. Firing Mahan is not a good idea. A fair number. There was a certain president in World War I who fired Mahan, and then spent the rest of the war going, "Why, oh, why did I do that?" Thankfully for that president, Mahan died, but he basically got fired, told he couldn't go to World War I to study it and cover it. And basically spent the rest of the war period taking pot shots at him, and only the way Mahan could. Oh, Mangus, I didn't say it was a good idea, but he might still do it. Yeah, it might. This is gonna hurt someone. Probably not me. Because, if I'm not mistaken... one of my men are destroyed. Zumwalt is flooding. Oh, that's problematic. Probably got hit by a torpedo, I'm guessing. Yeah. Dud torpedo. Over penetration. Asami is on fire. Take is in trouble. There's more torpedoes running in. You are supposed to be on avoiding torpedo routes, you realise, all of you. Average destroyer is out of torpedoes, I think, at this precise time. And if I'm not mistaken, over here is 4 more. And so the Japanese are helpfully caught between the 2 divisions. which is what we usually term a tribal special. When and the reason it's called a tribal special is because it happened a lot in the beginning of World War II, when tribal destroyer divisions would magically manage to make sure the Germans were right in the middle of them as they pummeled them. Good example being the Battle of Narvik, where you had 3 tribals on one side of the column, leading one side, and another tribal on the other side leading the other column. And basically they spent their entire way going up, blasting at each other, happily. And destroying any Germans who tried to get in the middle. And also sitting in the middle between the 2 columns of destroyers was of course HMS Warspite going, "Look at me! I'm so pretty! I have 15-inch guns! You're all going to go sinkies!" Ali loves history. Should have just made Eleanor the president. It should have more sense. Eleanor was certainly a class act. The tribal class being a success basically made a lot of people slightly worried, because most people had banked on putting masses of torpedoes on their ships, and the Royal Navy were kind of an outlier, putting guns on their destroyers, and then they worked, and there was quite a few of hurried conversations going, hang on, why are gun destroyers proving more useful than torpedo destroyers? And it was realised it was the nature of the threat. You weren't dealing with the mass engagements, i.e. a la refighting Jutland. You were dealing with a fight which was very different from Jutland. It was more a task force, free-throwing engagement, and whilst you still needed the torpedoes for the big bushwhack and hit, the mobility of fighting other destroyers meant the guns were more useful. Henderson's gambles wrecked people's days. But even Henderson admitted they were gambles. That's one of the interesting things, you know. It's like the regular things I have discussions with people going, oh, the Royal Navy built these carriers which have less aircraft. Well, it's less straightforward than that in terms of the aircraft operational capacity, etc. But you also have to realise the British know their carriers carry less aircraft than they'd like them to carry. They love them to be bigger. But the thing is, you have a limitation under the Washington Treaties, and you have a limitation imposed, the Washington-London Treaties, and you have limitations imposed by the politicians, and you build the best you can within that tonnage. And let's be honest, the illustrious class aren't that bad, but as I was thinking I was doing the other day, talking about scout carriers and what the effects they would have on terms of the treaty, because of if the aviation at the Battle of Jutland had actually worked out as it was supposed to. The big difference was that with that sort of uplift in tonnage for the fleet carriers, you could build an Ark Royal sized vessel in terms of hangar capacity with an illustrious class style armoured hangar. In which case, you would. In which case, the British would have their perfect carrier as far as they're concerned. How I've managed to still keep all 8 destroyers, I do not know, because frankly, the Japanese, these vessels still have torpedoes. They are good torpedoes, and they are still fairly afloat. This division's pretty much intact. So those 4 are intact. This division has run out of armor piercing and is just firing high explosive. It's interesting. Did expecting... well, let's put it this way. It wasn't just the Mediterranean. This is what people always focus on, just the Mediterranean. And the British are expecting to operate not only the Mediterranean, but also they're expecting to operate in the Far East. Okay, this is the interesting thing. People go, oh, the British were expecting to operate in the Mediterranean. Yes, against the Italians. That's always an option. But they were also spending most of the interwar period focusing on fighting the Japanese, who are the other side of the world from Britain's infrastructure. So think about how you build a carrier if you're going to build it to operate on the other side of the world from your infrastructure. You're going to build it to be as survivable and as repairable as possible, aren't you? Because you can't get a new one out there as quickly. Whereas the Americans share the Pacific with Japan and have their own coastline on it and can pump out ships from there, the British have to pump out ships from the UK, train them up, send them round the world and fight in the Pacific. They also have to send around supplies all the way around the world and all the other things to support it. So the thing is, when you're building a carrier to operate in the Mediterranean, you're presuming you're going to have air attack. And when you're building a carrier to operate in the Far East, you're presuming you're going to have to repair it because you do not want to lose it. You want to repair it so you can keep your forward repair things as much as possible, as close to the front of the area as possible. So they've got to be as able to withstand damage as much as possible. And this is what leads to the armoured carrier. This is what leads to the fleet carrier, the armoured hangar carrier of the Illustrious class. Because they're one of the ones which are supposed to stick with the fleets. They're supposed to stick with the capital ships, stick with the formations, move around, take part in the fleet actions. And then you've got Ark Royal, which will be sticking back as sort of a punch, a alpha strike weapon system. So you've got the whole Illustrious carriers, which are built around maintaining an air group in the air, maintaining a constant air patrol, a constant cap, a constant anti-submarine warfare patrol, constant reconnaissance, constantly, and also being able to fly off strikes at various points. Whereas you've got Ark Royal, whose purpose is, if the enemy's in harbour, that's the vessel which comes up, launches a massive strike, takes them out in harbour. If you're fighting a fleet action, that's the carrier which you've got ranged up with strike, ready to go. The moment that the aircraft from the Illustrious class, etc., find them, we've zeroed in their position, we scout them, we launch as many aircraft we can from the Illustrious class vessels, but Ark Royal, go strike. And especially if you do that at night, because the big plan for the British was always to track the enemy during the day, wait until night time when their air defense and everything wouldn't be as good, and then launch everything they can to hit them at night. And yes, as Archmage's and as Oil Levels history, what were the facilities in Australia like at the time? Not great. They weren't great. It's not that the Australians weren't spending. Oh, there's one of my Dorseys sinking. Oh. Hey! Division 1, why the frick are you over here? This way, quickly. Full speed, please, ladies and gentlemen. I don't know. Hence radar swordfish. Hence lots of things being developed with radar, etc. You know, there's the whole thing of Operation C in the Indian Ocean comes very, very close. Very close. You know, it could have been a very nasty surprise for the Japanese if Somerville's gamble had paid off and he had the right details for where the Japanese were. Then it would have been a nightmare. Well, the thing about the Swordfish you have to remember is it's ultimately massively reliable and massively repairable. And as I've said before, the Swordfish has the most advanced weapons delivery system of any aircraft. So, you'll hear a lot of admirals these days talking about its weapon systems, not platforms. It's the weapon systems that those platforms are carrying. So here's the thing. Everyone else launching a torpedo. You launch a torpedo from the aircraft, it dives down. Okay, you add fins on, wooden extended on the fins. Okay, that makes it go slightly lower down. The British on the Swordfish, and this is one of the reasons why it's a biplane again to make this all work, have a tension wire. And so the torpedo belly flops. Now if you think about it, if a torpedo does that, it might well hit the bottom. If it does that, it's probably still going to hit the bottom, but then come up. It might come up, but it's going to be a suit. If it belly flops, it's going to run shallower and more likely to hit its target. So that makes the Swordfish and to an extent the albacore, which followed on from it, some of the most lethal torpedo bombers in the world at their time, because their torpedoes were most likely to run shallower and hit their targets. So yes, they're a flying anachronism in people's minds because they associate biplane, World War II. But the reality is, it worked. Hello. Yes. Now, yeah, I do admit I've taken over, and I'm not you know, letting the AI run this division. You can't build aircraft carriers away highway. Sadly, no. No, you can't. I love the way they now go battle line. This division, Division 1 is now my battle line. Although I am doing a very American thing, I'm proceeding in a straight line. Hello. The fluffy research assistant is complaining. What are you complaining about? Oh, I'm getting excited. I'm not giving you a biscuit. Okay, okay. And this is why they probably should be credited as a battle line, because at this point they are just battering them away. Oh. Sinking. Sinking. Yeah. All sinking. Thank you. Division 1 came in and actually worked once. The Germans have many systems which assist with the swordfish. But the other thing about the biplane is, think about it. If you're designing an aircraft which has to fly for a very long range, very reliably, very stably to drop a torpedo, and safely at night. Again, remember this. The Royal Navy, one of the things you have to remember about them is they're the first all-weather capable fleet air arm. Because night's considered a form of weather. And it's one of the interesting things, when I start having conversations with people, they go, well, you know, in this scenario, you couldn't launch aircraft. And I go, who can't launch aircraft? And they go, well, the Americans, only 1 squadron in 4 on their carriers could launch in this weather, so they can't do a strike in this weather. And I go, yes, but that's because they only have 1 squadron in 4 usually are night certified. If they have that in 1941. Whereas for the Royal Navy, every single squadron, all pilots are night certified. All have to be. All have to be night trained. All have to be able to fly in bad weather and land and take off. And when you consider the aids built into British carriers to help aircraft land at night, etc., this allows them to land and take off in far rougher weather than they would land on if they weren't certified for night flying and they didn't do it. Which expands the range of operation for British carriers again. Which is another factor you have to consider when you're considering operations, because all that stuff takes time, money, and expense. And it makes those pilots and those aircraft far more valuable to maintain. And that's another reason why the British don't like deck parking, because as a rule, if you're doing deck parking in the North Atlantic or the South Atlantic or the North Sea, you can lose a lot of aircraft over the side. And there is a reason why the British air carriers have different air groups if you consider by their Atlantic standard, which they're built by, what they can theoretically accommodate in the Mediterranean with deck parking, and what they can accommodate in the Pacific with deck parking. There is a difference. You could load a ton of well, it wasn't just the takeoff. This run was short. As a rule, if ships had a catapult, they could launch a swordfish in almost any weather, and they could launch them in vertically anything. To be honest, a swordfish which was running and working could take off without almost the assistance of a catapult under some conditions. Right, what's the next ship we want to do? Hello. I suddenly noticed someone was tickling me, and I went, who's tickling me? And it's a fluffy beast. I have a fluffy beast tickling me. Super Semi Dreadnought. So we want something with 9.2 inch secondaries, and you know, we want to try and see what we can build, which is a really powerful, scary ship. 18-inch guns and 9. Oh, good lord! If we're going for that, hello. Yes, you're good. Yes, you're good. Well, I'm going back to Britain, and I'm going to go that. Boom, boom. Oh, I'm not including those. Let's design ship. Hello. Yes, you're cute. That was powerful. What was that one again? That was the 20.9-inch guns. Hello. 20.9-inch 61s. Maximum range of fire. 60 kilometers armor piercing. High explosive 57.3 kilometers. Yeah. That was a cute beast to play around with. Right then, let's go to new design. Let's go to a new design. Right then, super battleship, because this is going to be a super duper one. And we'll maximize the beam, make it as fat as possible for this scenario. I know, you are cute. Oh, really? That's a bit rude, but I'll accept it. Hello, what's up? Do you want a biscuit or something? You want a biggie? Is that what you want? What is the problem? Do you want lap time? Am I sitting too close to the computer for you to get lap time? Because you're coming around this side of me and I'm not sure why. Do you want dino? Sorry. Do you want dino? No, you don't want dino? Okay. "18-inch guns." Okay. We will do this. Funnels, at least one needed. Well, there will be a funnel, of course. Right, let's go for our secondary guns. The max... Oof. 9-inch. go. Right then. We want this to be at least a 28 knot ship. It's got to be at least 28 knots. Half weight. Whoa, that's not good. Do I want to fit torpedo launchers on this? Probably not. Do I want casemate nuns? No. If I'm British and I'm fitting this up with 9.2s, then I want to fit it with 4.5 inch as my dual purpose. Deal with all problems. A gun. Deal with all problems. Barbettes. Tall barbette for small guns. There we go. That goes there. Engine efficiency. Well, let's start off with geared turbines. Oil fueled. Forced. Auxiliary engines, yes. Multiple shafts, yes. Oh, that definitely. That. Oh, we're going to have the latest in modern armor. Because we will. Still on the weight? Oh, good. Keeping this very British. Very, very British. I need it as enhanced turrets as possible, though. I do know that, and I need to start working on the guns in a second. So, for starters, they'll go down to 15, definitely. They will go down to 6. They will stay at 2 for that. Go to 4 and probably go to 10. Go to 12 for that. Go to 6 for that. And let's see. These are going to be 18-inch. They are 18-inch 49s. I'm designing this to be the most absolutely insane vessel you can imagine. .2 inch, and this has got to be a 4.7 dual purpose. Okay. 10,000 tons overweight at the moment, but we'll see what we can do with that. Conning tower is going to go down to 12. Main belt's going to go to 15. Main deck's going to go down to 6. Probably 6 and 6, or maybe 5 and 5. 5, 5 and 5. We're down to only 4,000 tons overweight. Half weight offset 9.4%. Take the superstructure down to 1. Down to 108,000 tons. What can we do to lose weight? We need to increase the shells carried. And shell size. Light. Negative 5% gun range. Plus 2.5% to gun range. Plus 3.5% to gun range. Cordite, triple base, TNT, and the range is now at 47.6 kilometers. Okay, let's take the flooding down to 2, the triple hull down to double, the reinforced bulkhead down to 1, and we're at it. And that vessel is now working with 12 18-inch guns, 12 9.2-inch guns, which I might well rearrange. Because I might decide that that's better, because then I can add in another one of these. And they're nice, and I prefer them lower down in the hull than higher up in the hull. And I want these up because they're my pom-poms. Or my pom-pom equivalentes for this game. I can't fit any on... None on top of the 18-inch in the front. That's just rude. Well, there you go. Half weight offset 13.3%. I wonder how we can do... Take down the pitch. So now I've got 4,000 tons to play with. What can I do? Oh, I can up the tonnage for starters. That allows me to do some things. Okay. Alright. What does it allow me to do? Take those off. Add them back in. Right then, you can guess what I'm going to do now. Well, if you can't guess, then we have a problem. But, because I haven't explained myself that well, more than anything else. So, main guns 9.2 inch, side guns 9.2 inch. Let's see what she's going to look like. Barbettes. Very tall barbette for a small gun. Now I think that's starting to look like something really quite interesting. I think we'd all agree. I think in this scenario, if this ship turned up anywhere, I think some people would be asking for, very politely, but would probably be asking to check what had happened. Very, very politely asking exactly what happened and exactly how did this happen. Half belt weight offset. We have a 5-inch across everything. Citadel armor. And about 6 inches. Inner deck. 3 inches, I think. Make that up to 1 inch. Because I have a feeling long-range penetrating shots are going to be this thing's primary enemy. That an aircraft. Mm-hmm. This is certainly going to be an interesting vessel for anyone to fight. At this point, this is certainly going to not be something which is fun to fight, but it's still got pitch at 32.7%, and I'm not sure why. I'm looking at this ship and going, where is that pitching coming from? Because yes, this at half weight is 2.4%, but it's not really enough to justify a pitch of that much. And this is not really something you want to fight. So we'll save that, and we'll go check out what they're going to produce as the Japanese... oh. Shall we go against this thing again? Theoretical maximum range 48.2 kilometers. And a maximum range 47.6 kilometers. Top speed of this vessel 28 knots. Top speed of the Japanese vessel 26.4 knots. Sure, why not? Yeah. Honestly, I'm not sure why, but yes, we will go against it. But, you know, let's do this properly. And let's put it... Probably would end up being about 4 versus 2 to 3. So, load. No, close. Design ship. And enemy. Is there a better one? I've got to have a better Japanese design. The Kagase, which is... far too realistic to history. This was actually my attempt to build the Yamato, wasn't it? We'll go against this one. Let's launch. Alright, so the battle is launched. Let's see what happens. We have 4 British. That's actually a scary sight. 3 Yamatos in quick succession maneuvering through the water. They are fast. So remember, they're faster than the other ones were, but they are not as long a range. Okay, we now got 2 divisions, each of a pair. Each on the avoid torpedoes and avoid bashing into each other scenario. Oh, that was close. I realise there's a battleship here called Swifter. I don't think they're going to get into 9.2 inch range. I have this feeling this could be the kind of battle which you don't get into 9.2 inch range. I think there are plans for Yamatos to do shore bombardment. I'm not sure if they ever actually managed it from memory. There were plans for them to, but I don't think they ever actually managed it from memory. This is sort of most world's nightmares, meeting a modified, upgraded Warspite inspired 12 18-inch gun, 18 9.2 inch gun, 12 4.7 inch gun, and Lord knows how many 1.5 inch gun super British battleship. I think that's another 18 1.5 inch guns. Yeah, this is not something which is designed to fight nicely. It's probably good we haven't added destroyer flotillas to this fight, because if they were here, there would be an absolute bloodbath going on somewhere in the middle. Shall we do one with destroyer flotillas involved next? Give each roughly the same amount of destroyers. Ali loves history. Why did I predict that you would be the first to come in and go, yes? I wonder how many destroyers would get murdered by 9.2 inch guns. That would not be kind. Fun, but not kind. Especially as those are auto 9.2 inch guns, so, you know. They could do a lot of damage. Very quickly. This is fun. I don't think the Yamatos are actually managing to do much firing. They're mostly sitting there going, help. I think I might have overpowered these 18-inch guns somewhat. There again. There's nothing wrong with being a little overpowered. And it's very sensible for the Yamatos to keep out of the way, because let's be honest, no one wants to get close with those things. No one wants to get close. So 9.2 inch have a range of 30 kilometers. A range of, you guessed it, 47.6 kilometers. Center line 4.7 have a range of 16.3 kilometers. We have these beasts. Is it the of course it's on times 10 speed. Still, they are behaving a little bit kind of mean. We have Caesar, Empress of India, and Swiftster basically going, we're going to behave like... Hang on. Which is Division 2 here? Okay, Empress of India, Swiftster, Division 2. Division 1. Division 2 is Barham and Caesar, who are basically going, hello. You see, I know there's a debate with the whole rule of farmers. The more you add in guns, the more likely you are going to have problems in your turret. So you have one gun per turret, you have the problems are X. You have 2 guns in your turret, you have 2x problems. 3 guns in your turret, you have 4x problems. 8 guns in your turret, 4 guns in your turret, 8x problems, basically. But I find most triple turrets, perhaps because they were around for so much longer than quadruple turrets, actually by World War II, a triple turret is an extremely effective system. And they'd solved out quite a lot of the problems they'd had with triple turrets and figured out how to manage them. You can even see that when you look at these designs, because if you look at them you go, oh, they've modified it in that way and that way on the image. Well, there's a reason it's modified. It looks like that. It's because that's what they probably would have looked like in real life to deal with the fact of having a triple turret. And often, you know, things like the center gun would actually be back in, would be actually set back further within the turret. Would non-synchronous firing from the guns affect accuracy? It would depend how non-synchronous it was. If you have sort of interrupted fire, so literally they fire within a second of each other, it has a small effect on accuracy, but nothing too much. Nothing you really have to worry about. And that's the thing, you know, you don't have to do that much to make it work together. It's when you have... The problem which you have with a quadruple turret is you just have so many components on top of each other. Whereas in a triple turret, in most ships, especially if you're building within the treaty limits, you can build a triple turret on almost the same footprint as you build a quadruple turret. So if you think about that, in the space you would normally fit 4 guns, you could fit 4 guns, you fit 3 guns, and therefore you have a lot more space to get at things and keep things going. And the thing is, space to get at things is useful. It's often not understood, but space on a ship is actually a force multiplier. Because space on a ship gives you more space to access things and do preventative maintenance. If you can walk around something that much easier, if you can access it, if you can see it that much easier because you have the space to move around it, you can fix it usually when it is a very simple quick fix, rather than having the added complication of when you have to fix it of having to deal with all the lack of space in the first place, but also having the more difficulty of access. And probably because the more difficulty of access, you've checked it less often, or checking it has been more of a complicated process, so you've had less of a good, not as good a view of it. And so you don't notice the problem until it's a far worse problem. So then you have a worse problem in a more difficult to access space. Then you probably had a smaller problem in an easy to access space. and could have sorted out that way. So this is one of those things with ship design. You know, space does help. As they like to say, steel and air is cheap. So building a larger ship with more space in it than you necessarily need for all the components is actually a cost. How to put it? It adds cost to construction, but through life it reduces cost. Hello, Leslie. We have a little fight going on here between three Yamato-inspired Japanese battleships and, well, someone said, what would happen if you built an 18-inch version of a pre-Dreadnought? Or as I call them, Sovereign-style battleship. As you can see, we have 18-inch guns, and we have 9.2-inch guns. At a certain point, these are going to start sinking. They haven't fired a single 18-inch shot yet. You're in a hotel room in St Albans. Ooh, if you're in St Albans, there's a really nice pub, restaurant slash pub in St Albans. It likes to send me emails, and I go there because I've spent a lot of time there in travelling around, because of one of the companies I work for is based in St Albans, so I know it quite well. Why is it I have Pizza Hut St Albans in my email address? I do not understand that. Beach House. The Beach House in St Albans is really, really nice. Just gonna throw that out there, Leslie. If you're at a cross of things to go to, I used to go to it. I've been to it a lot over the years, and it's always fun when you say that and you go, yeah. I've been to that place more times than I like to think, but as I said, one of the companies I work for is based there. One thing I like to come in is to be able to name the classes different things to their ship names, aka the Town Class Cruisers, all editions. Oh. Driven down from Stockport this evening. Okay, well, Five Guys is pretty good as well in St Albans, in my experience. Ah. Oh. I'm going to be having an interesting summer, because if ship shape works out as we hope, and we get the money for the Australia trip, I've then got summer school as well, a couple of weeks of that, 1 week in July and 1 week in August. And then I've also got a trip to possibly Newcastle. So if I'm up in Newcastle doing research, I will of course schedule something to say hi to people if they want to in Newcastle, because I like to when I'm around travelling around. And then also I might be doing later on this year a couple of trips down to the southwest and a couple of trips up to Scotland, which will be fun. Well, this is booming away quite happily, isn't it? I do need to... Coleman's and South Shields would be quite nice to go to. I've heard about that, I think, about that place. Steve, Spike, you're going to see Viking and Neolithic sites in Denmark. That is always fun. I have to admit, I might need to pick your brains at some point, because one of the other plans we have for as future is, of course, is the Scandi flick, and you know, it's a case of it's Japan, it's doing Scandinavia, Denmark, and Copenhagen, etc. They're basically ignoring Katasgargi, and just because I've told them to, sinking these two, and then all four are going to focus in on Katasagi. So this is the problem for you if you find yourself in a 4-3 battle at the ranges they're engaging at. Because really, what the Japanese should have done is shrunk the range. They've stayed at range, tried to stay at maximum range to minimise the damage, and they can't respond. No, because, well, yes. Basically, our Scandi flick would go through Lofoten Islands, Narvik, all sorts of places. We'd have a really interesting... Basically, the idea is to go through Denmark to Norway, up Norway, down Sweden, and then Sweden to Finland, and then Finland, Lithuania... No, it goes Estonia, Latvia... No, Latvia, Estonia, Lithuania? Or I always remember get the three wrong. But then through the Baltics. And just have a nice time. Probably get, you know, variously targeted by various intelligence agencies as we go. Because we'll be taking lots of pictures of various warships and sites, and they'll go, what the frick are they doing? Oh, they're naval historians on tour. Okay. What are they up to? Kawachi is low on fuel. I'm not surprised she's low on fuel. She's basically burnt from stem to stern. I'm surprised she's still moving. I'm surprised there's anything left in her to burn. I must have added extra protection to those magazines, because that's the only reason she hasn't gone. Oh, good lord. That almost scared me coming in. You're hoping to see a type... Ooh, that's always fun. Is there anything to visit Norway about the sinking of Blucher? There is, if you can actually go to the fort. There's all sorts of things. Kawachi has lost more fuel than anything else. Oh. Look, the fact, in the nicest way, if you are at 3% structural integrity, there is no way you look like that. Kasagi has sunk. Division 2, shift your fire, please. There is another Japanese vessel somewhere around here. Oh, yes. Division 2, shift your fire to here. And Division 1, shift your fire, please. Everyone fire at this lovely vessel. Also now low on fuel. How are you all doing? Are you low on fuel? No, you're not low on fuel. You are firing high explosives now. Your armor piercing... You are limited in armor piercing, and you've got armor piercing ammo left. You now have all four concentrating on you. So good luck. I was surprised we haven't seen any cooking off turrets at all today so far. Wait! Do you know those shells feel like they're coming to me? That's fun. Yow. Yes, it might be the use of high explosive instead of armor piercing, but most of the magazine explosions in my experience are due to the fires penetrating the magazine, and that turret aft there is on fire quite convincingly. I did a really good job building this Japanese Yamato. That's, I know I did it based on the Yamato design, so I he's down to the Japanese, definitely. Oh, good lord. Oh, suicide charge. You've gone into 9.2-inch range. You can now fire your guns. Wonderful, but you're in 9.2-inch range. And there are 4 of them. And they are undamaged. Not a single one is damaged. They're just... Ow! This is going to be painful to watch. Hey, Lord, dodge shells. Everyone dodge shells. I'm going to get away because you might not hear me over the noise of the vessel blowing up. It's getting hit. This is gonna be interesting. This is definitely a charge. This is what they should have done at the beginning when they had 3 of them and they were undamaged. Due to extensive fire. Yes. Okay. No, we will edit the battle to add in some destroyers. How many destroyers can I add in? Oh, I'll have 18 on this side, and I'll have 12 on this side to make it, again, more accurate. And I'm going to design the ships. Ooh, right then. We are going to keep you, yes, and let's go to destroyer designs. Ooh, I have you. You're not exactly that bad. But again, you don't look like a British... Why is it the American destroyers look more like British destroyers than the British destroyers? Why? I know. Right then, you're going to 4.7-inch guns. You're going to 4.7-inch guns. So just enjoy it. It's happening. Hello, gorgeous. Now, you're going to a sort of modified version of what a tribal class destroyer looked like, because I can make a modified version of what a tribal class destroyer looked like. Auto-loading, 24-inch, oxygen propelled, all these things are good. 4.7-inch guns, so they're the same as the battleship, with the maximum length enhancements. The maximum length enhancements, and then down to 1.5 inch. Now, pitch and roll is terrible on this ship, so let's try and figure out why. What is the problem with the pitch and roll, and where is it coming from? Is it the beam? If I reduce the beam, does that reduce it? That's not affecting it. Draft, if I take that down, that doesn't help things. If I put it up, that does reduce the roll. Okay, that reduces the roll. Okay. we want to up forward offset 9%. That makes the ship overweight. That should just about do. Gear turbines, 4 spoilers. Do I need? I need 4 spoilers, don't I? Anti-flood. Bulkhead standard and standard, yes. Increased shells, increased torpedoes, yes. Forward offset. Main deck, aft deck. Aft belt. Why is the pitch so bad on this ship? It's just, I do not understand it at all. I don't understand it. Try with a gas turbine engine. Well, of course. I wonder if I could do that. Engine efficiency down to 73%. What's the problem with the funnel? What can I put in there? That's too high, it won't allow that up there. Halfway offset. I want 4.7 triple barrels, thank you. And I want to move this to here. And then I can put in to do that. That's not. Let's see. Can I put in? No, it won't let me do any of the things I wanted it. But I can probably mount a good few of these. Which will help with raking attacks. So half weight offset 0.8% now. So I can. Can I up the speed a bit? I can. And I can up the armor on the front. Okay. So, pitch is still absolutely atrocious. I have no idea why. It's certainly an interesting level of firepower. Certainly an interesting level of firepower. You can say that many, many times over. No, that makes it. I was thinking perhaps that will reduce it, but no, it doesn't. Hey, everything I've tried that should, in theory, have reduced the issue hasn't worked. Okay. We will. Gear turbines. Gas turbines. 21,050 kilometers. Let's see. Can we up the range a bit? Oh, we can. 24,000 kilometers. Can I make it double? I can. Reinforced bulkheads. Yep. We will go with what we go with. 24-inch torpedo tubes. Oxygen torpedo props with the long range capability. Yep. Everything good. And let's go check our Japanese counterparts art. We have designs available. We have the Take, which I seem to remember building myself. And yeah. Oh, good lord, that is the one I built, isn't it? Engine efficiency 300%. Full weight offset. Ship is now overweight. I'm not surprised the ship is now overweight. Diesel engines. Why don't I went, of course, with diesel. Gear turbines. That'll give them speed, the speed they need. Yeah, that's everything they want. Ooh, these are really well designed vessels. Semi-auto loading, not auto loading. Standard shells. Yeah, they fit in. Yeah, that's a That's better than the destroyers which the Germany's had, but that's going to launch a huge number of torpedoes at anyone. A range of 16 kilometers. 16.1 kilometers. And then these ones have a range of 23.2 kilometers. Okay. But these have a range of 30.8 kilometers. I think the 9.2 inch guns are going to be in use quite a lot. Yep, that's the selected one. And that's the selected destroyer. So let's launch. How about Italian Dido class? We'll see. Can you balance the combat in terms of cost, please? I can try that a bit, but that's completely ahistorical, to be honest, because the cost calculation on this try and standardise everyone down to the same cost for things, and actually, to build the cost for the British is far cheaper than to build the cost for the Japanese, because of the resources they have. And then you have the terms of number of ships they have available. So, yeah. And we have a whole screen of destroyers. I'm not sure what they're doing, but they're supposed to be moving around to cover the battleships, and this could get interesting. Let's see how this screen is laid out, because it's rare I... Wowee! Oh my. Well, I suppose that's one way to function a screen. I always forget when I do a full screen and full operation just exactly how this works out as. This is gonna be an interesting one. My favourite 4.7 inch is good, and it could have been a lot better. It could have been a lot better. Screening destroyers. Oh, this could be good lord. Some of these, I swear, are speedboats. Yo, don't do that! Don't do that! That's how we lost them! That's how we lost them! That's painful! You don't do that! Avoid torpedoes. Avoid torpedoes. I always worried I need to say avoid ships as well. Avoid torpedoes. Avoid torpedoes. Avoid torpedoes. And you are in scout mode. There are 3 of you, and you are also going to be in... What are the options? Scout, follow... Also in scout. And so you go on the AI control. And we've got 2 groups going off to scout, because it's useful. No friendly ramming, please. Torpedoes are in the water. This is turning into a very interesting fight. Let's see what the 9.2 inch guns are. 9.2 inch guns are firing away merrily. This is a basically a World War II where you haven't developed naval aviation and you haven't got aircraft. This is the kind of fight you probably have happening. And you had a few fights not too dissimilar to this, even with the presence of aircraft. But you know, they were, you know, it's the whole thing. Once you got the range, we've lost the battleship. Got flash fire due to extensive fire. It's hit by torpedoes. So so first blood goes to the Japanese with their torpedoes. We have lost the battleship. I'm not quite sure how, but it is King Edward VII. So let's be honest, it's not rather unappropriate it sunk. Not sure who decided the program in Edward VII as a name. But, you know, yeah. Cooked off turret. I'd say the Japanese are about to start losing destroyers, and possibly a lot of them in one go. And once the destroyers go down, they're going to be in trouble. There were already less destroyers to begin with, and this is the problem. I've lost a destroyer as well. Okay. Okay, how's this fight going on? Let's go see the enemy battleships. One of them's in a lot of trouble. Nagato's in trouble. But the rest of these three look fine. Take sinks. Take sinks due to trouble. Edward the 7th is sinking. We've lost the destroyer sinking. This is about as well as I expected the AI to manage this, because it's quite a lot of ships involved. But yeah. Hello. Okay. Ah! Oh, hello! 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 Yes. You backing up the Japanese again. We've been over this before. Backing up the Japanese is not nice. Hello. And yeah, they are suffering with their destroyer forces. So the Japanese destroyers, despite being probably the more powerful ships, once they get within range of the 9.2-inch guns, are getting crushed. Not unexpectedly, let's be honest. Hello, everyone. I've been licked to death. Oh yeah, a torpedo to the magazine will do it every time. So we've got these two divisions out here scouting. And we've got 4 divisions doing screening. And the AI commanding the main division. And in charge of everything. And that looks more like a normal patrol, really. A non-cursed request about an Italian Dido class. We will see what we can do about an Italian Dido class. We will see what we can do. Enemy smoke spotted to the southwest. Oh god. I know we're going off a screen. Battle line, I want you going off a screen. Okay. They're now firing at massively long range again. And apparently hitting destroyers. Not good for the enemy destroyers. Okay. The things you do not want to be as a destroyer. Targeted by an 18-inch gun. 18-inch gun, not something you want coming at you in your direction. The sheer amount of 4.7-inch fire coming in direction is also not good. You might have the edge in terms of your gun's actual firepower penetration, but the sheer volume of 4.7-inch you're going to be getting coming at you is going to cause damage. But the sheer volume of torpedoes you can launch. Yep, 18-inch gun just hit. It's one of the things, the most dangerous weapon in modern warfare is the radio. Why? Because it can call in something with a lot more firepower than you can deal with. Oh, for goodness sake, don't bash into each other. I hate that noise when they bash into each other. It really annoys me. Because you did it in the nicest way. This game treats bashing into each other as something which happens on a regular basis. And the reality was, it wasn't. It was sufficiently unusual, and as a rule, if a destroyer bashes into a battleship, the destroyer gets sunk. Even if it is your own battleship. And these, out in thin air, yes, lovely. They are engaging 4.7-inch guns. They have an advantage over them. And they are engaging the destroyers. Individually, they have an advantage over the British destroyers. But in reality, what's coming next, they do not have an advantage over. I think they got into 9.2-inch range. Ooh. They're just hovering out of 9.2-inch range. Don't get any closer, boys and girls. Oh no, they're in it. This is not going to be nice for anyone. Least of all those destroyers. I'm not sure if there are actually any enemy destroyers left after these two deaths. I think that could be all of them gone. That's gone. It might sink in the most glorious of ways, but honestly, we lose HMS Punjabi, one of the Royal Navy's tribal class destroyers, because she gets run over by King George V while hunting Bismarck. And it's one of those, well, not while hunting Bismarck, around the time of hunting Bismarck, but not quite at that same time. You sit there and go, you know, really? Seriously? These accidents, when they happen, they're not good for these ships. You're just happy you lost King Edward VII, aren't you? You're all happy you lost King Edward VII. King Edwards do not tend to turn out to be very lucky battleships in Royal Navy service. It's claiming there's still some destroyers in service. I'm not sure where those destroyers are for the Japanese. Oh, good lord. Eh, oh, hello, oi. Oh, good lord. Hello. Don't knock a glass of liquid over, please. Fluffy one. I know, you want to be comfortable. And you do deserve, as always, to be comfortable. But you've knocked over everything as normal. Including the microphone. Oh, and now you decided. Hello. Oh. Oh. Poodles. Soft, gentle dogs, they said. Lovely, affectionate dogs, they said. I agreed with all that. But by gum are they good at squishing your innards. They're the free battleships. Let's see, do they have any destroyers as escorts? They might have a destroyer as escort. I think they do have a destroyer remaining as escort. But I'm now dispatching all my destroyers to go kill things. Let's see what happens. Sadly, progress persuading my landlord has come to a halt, so no doggo for me in the near future. That is very sad, Jonathan. Although, I am considering doing... I might have already said this, but I am considering doing a video about all the comments and the impacts they come on me from people who comment on my YouTube videos going, because I see your doggos so much, I will no longer be watching your videos. And I thought you should know that that is the reason I'm not watching them. And I really should do about a response video to those comments. But I haven't yet, but I should do one. Ba-da-da-da. Da-dee. Da-da-dee. Here come various destroyers. Don't get hit by a battleship. Please don't get hit by a battleship. You're supposed to be on avoiding ships. And you're on avoiding ships as well. So you guys are supposed to be avoiding everyone as well. That's a video on ship's mascots then. Honestly, that would be a video on something. Malaga, why would you complain about doggos on videos? Some people do. Ah, they have 3 remaining destroyers. I don't think they're going to have 3 remaining destroyers for long. Oh, you're going into 9.2 inch range. Now, earlier, pre the destroyers being involved, let's be honest, in the previous fight, the British battleships' range was almost obscene in terms of their accuracy. Let's stop this being an even fight. Shall we? Go attack them, please. You go attack him. And you go attack them. Let's see what happens. Come on, destroyers, go and actually do an attack, please. You have torpedoes remaining. You have AI control. Let's see what the AI can do. You are screening... The bashed up destroyers are screening the battleships. That's good. Basically, I'm holding some battleships, some destroyers back to, you know, provide extra protection. Detached to Division 2. Now, the thing is, the British, if they're actually doing this, would be doing this under a night attack conditions. And, yeah. Probably still taking horrendous fire results. Yep, that's all. That whole division's gone now. But I think they might be down to just one destroyer left, and Nagato might be about to get sunk. In nicest way, Nagato should be sunk by this point. Returning all remaining destroyers to the screen. We've lost 7 destroyers in this fight. They lost the battleship and the destroyer. Well, they've lost more than that. They've lost 2 of their battleships and all their destroyers in this fight so far, and I think the remaining battleships aren't long for this world, if I'm being honest. See, I'm hoping I get the upgrade on Steam soon to have the package, because I would like to try and see if it's allowed me to do night fighting, and if it does, what sort of systems it allows. Because what I have to admit I would do with night fighting is I would get as close as I physically could. Do it the same way that Cunningham was taught to do it, that pretty much every British admiral was taught to do it. You get as close as you can. You approach the enemy with your guns focused on them. But you keep getting closer and closer. And only the moment they start to look like they're manning their own guns and about to fire, do you blast at them. You hold your fire till literally the last minute. You get as close as you physically can, because at certain ranges, there's just no point having armor. You know, there's at ranges which even 4.7 inch and 5 inch guns can damage battleship armor because they're that close. We've lost some battle. We've lost some destroyers. This is a hard battle for the destroyers. Is there a surviving Japanese destroyer out there somewhere? Low on fuel. Whereas Japanese night doctrine was to actually keep at distance and fire your long-range torpedoes at the enemy so they wouldn't suspect anyone was out there. And so they would wander into these torpedoes completely unsuspectingly and get bushwhacked. We've lost 11 of our destroyers in this fight. It's been a very, very vicious fight. And they did all that impressive pyrotechnical work to design and develop the whole thing where the turret cooks off. And I haven't had a single turret cook-off all day. Well, the thing is, with Cunningham, it's also nothing and then kaboom. If you think about it, with Cunningham, they're getting closer, but the moment you notice them is the moment they go kaboom. So you've got nothing, and then you go boom. And it's just close range quarters, nasty fighting. With battleships at point-blank range. If you look at the same thing happens at North Cape. You know, Duke of York closes to the point of which that honestly her secondaries can engage, let alone her 14-inch guns. Scharnhorst doesn't have a chance in that fight. By the time she realizes what's happening, she's lost. So either way are very, very nasty and effective. But of course you have to consider also the Japanese system works as long as your opponent is proceeding in a straight line. Go out scouting. Let's see if we can't find the enemy. Well, yes, you see, there are actually whole battles where the American fleet literally doesn't do anything. It doesn't do what they're supposed to do. You know, they're good ships. Mischief. You're supposed to be moving, I'm fairly sure, with... Oh, there are 3 Japanese destroyers still alive somehow. I was sure I killed them earlier. That's a lot of torpedoes. And the thing is, the Americans, you know, there's the Tassafaronga and all these other battles where the American cruisers, the American ships, are proceeding along at night and they're keeping in a straight line, because it makes sense. It's, you know, if you think it's a safe zone, you should, you know, you're proceeding in a straight line. It's the most efficient, it's the safest way to travel at night. But the thing is, the first thing the British would have told them is there's no such thing as a safe zone in war, because there could be submarines anywhere. And the British aren't presuming on long-range torpedo fire from destroyers, they're presuming on submarines, which is why the British doctrine is always to be weaving. Always to be weaving. Always to be going backwards and forwards, you know, changing attack, to make it harder for anyone to get a torpedo solution. It's not because the British are preparing for fighting the Japanese at long range and the British realise what the Japanese are planning. It's because of submarines. And the British have this whole fear of submarines, which comes of Abaca, Chris, and Hogue in World War I. And to the Americans, it's, those were old ships that should never have been out there. To the Royal Navy, those were old ships which should never have been out there, but also they weren't being handled the way they should be when submarines are around. Oh, good lord. So, you got spotted by a battleship, and this is what a single 18-inch hit did to her. That was a single 18-inch shell. I think in real life that vessel would have been sunk. Over-penetration basically means, in the nicest way, if you're hit by an 18-inch shell and you're a destroyer, those shells are going to go in and come out the other side. Over-penetration... Oh, hang on. Another one just got hit. Oh, good lord. All 3 engines taken out. All steering, command steering gone. That's not good. There's someone in this area. But the Hishi is trying to keep up with her colleagues. I'm not sure how. This is going to sound strange. How is the Hishi doing this speed when it's this damaged? I can understand these ships doing the speed they're doing. Because, as far as my battle line is mostly concerned, barring the one which was lost earlier, magnificently but earlier, they're undamaged. Yeah. There are a few things which took a few shots. I think it was cruiser shots more than battle cruiser shots. Hi, Gosman14, how you doing? This is, how do I put this? So it's 12 18-inch guns, 18 9.2-inch guns, and 12 4.7-inch guns, all wrapped up in a bundle of love, coming to a Pacific theatre near you. And there are 3 enemy destroyers left. I would say it's more a World War II version of, oh my god, what the frick have you done? Well, you see, we wanted to go for 18-inch guns. Yes, I know! But why? Why me? I do agree, they are sexy-looking ships. Top speed, 28 knots. If there were no treaties after World War II, if there were no treaties after World War I and this got built, there would have been people crying. If you built this with 1920s tech, there would have been people crying. 110,000 tons. Because there would have been literally 2 nations on Earth which could have built that. So it would have been from that point on, there is no point anyone else building these ships. What are you doing? Okay, computer, you have something weird going on. Why is Derwent doing that? What if... Okay, I'm gonna check on these ones. That would mean a dead destroyer. And that's the battle over. The answer is a lot. The answer is a lot, and this was a very, very, very nasty battle, because I built some very, very good destroyers for the Japanese. They were fairly decent battleships. It's King Edward VII, which was the big loss for us, for the British Empire. Anyway, I'm going to say thank you very much everyone for watching. Apparently my dinner has just arrived. It's a takeaway again, because my darling sister again cooked something and my mum went no. So, hello Senecanera, hi and bye, do apologise. But please, please do go and look at shipshape.org. That's shipshape.org.uk, and shipshape is 2 words with a hyphen in between it, because we are trying to fundraise for our trip to Australia to do all the naval history we can do in Australia, and we really need your support. There is a lot of money we need to raise. We have a minimal amount. We've put in the maximum amount, which would basically be our ideal trip, and we have a minimal amount we need to raise to be able to do it entirely. I think the difference between the two is well, is not as much as it might seem. It's amazing once it becomes. It's when you times it by 4 that the distance seems quite large. Thank you very much, everyone. Take care, and hope you enjoyed. Hope this answered some questions for you all. Toodles. Oh, and as always, thank you, Archmagus, Jonathan Moon, Dr. Trefonius, Stan Canero, and thank you, George Newman, and thank you, Spike to Spike. Thank you, Leslie, for popping in. Hope you find some decent food tonight in St. Albans. Thank you, Malgar. Thank you. Thank you, everyone, basically, for showing up and chatting. Thank you, Ali Loves History. Take care, and thank you, Garrus, of course, for turning up and putting the link in the chat to shipshape.org. Thank you very much, everyone. Take care, and toodles.